The purpose of this video is to try and give you and your parents some information about GCSE PE, because we're hoping that some of you would like to take GCSE PE as one of your options next year. We as a PE department think it's a great option for almost anybody, and so I'm going to give you some information about the course, and hopefully this will answer some of the questions you or your parents have about what will happen over the next 2 years if you choose to take GCSE PE. So all of you, I think, are aware that there is a theoretical and a practical aspect to it. The theoretical aspect is now worth 60%. It got changed a few years back by the government, who sometimes it had been felt that PE was a little bit maybe of an easy option, and they wanted to change that, which they most definitely have. So the theoretical content, you've already been primed for in a way, because we do mastery homeworks, and they're like short, small snippets of the actual GCSE course. So if you already know the bones and the muscles in your body and where they are, you already partly know the GCSE course. That's just a small chunk of it. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but we teach you throughout the 2 years. So as well as needing to have a good scientific understanding of how the body works, so as I've already mentioned, the skeleton, muscles, the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, levers, planes and axes, they dropped in from the A level. This was, saying, a bit of the government shake-up to try and make it a bit more academically rigorous, to bring it up in line with things like maths and English, which were considered harder almost, if you like. It depends where your strengths are, obviously, if you feel it is hard or not. The other part of the course, you also look at sport globally. So what has commercialization done to sport? So things like BT Sport, Sky Sport, how has that affected running times of events? How has that affected when the 100-meter final is in the Olympics, for example? How have drugs affected sport, the ethics behind it, so cheating, sportsmanship, things like diet and health come into it. So as we're all very much aware, I think, at the moment, of how important exercise is to our mental health and our social health as well. So actually getting out and seeing people, those of you who already play in football teams or netball teams already know how much you love going and seeing other people and being part of a team. And that comes up in the course. That is part of the theory aspect, along with your methods of training and your principles of training, which you say have already studied in mastery homework, but which we will now go into more depth. And you will have to obviously answer GCSE theory questions in those. So you do have essay style questions, which will only ever be worth up to 6 marks, but it is a long piece of writing that will require good English skills. So when I say they wanted to make it more academically rigorous, it's partly that as well. They expect you to have good science knowledge and good English skills as well. So we do work on those, and obviously we work in those in your English lessons as well, so they go hand in hand. And if you're doing your biology and science, which you will be, we do the courses crossover, so there'll be the cardiovascular and the respiratory system. You'll already be studying those in science. They do help each other out. Obviously the other side of it, which some of you might be more excited about, is the practical aspect. That is still worth 30% of the course. And as it stands at the moment, you still will be expected to pick 3 sports. So they can be of your choice, but you are given a list of sports you can and cannot do. So quite often the kids who already have taken and been through GCSE PE, for an example, you would have football, netball and badminton, or handball, rugby and rock climbing. So the combination is up to you. As it stands at the moment, you have to pick 1 team, 1 individual, and then 1 either or. So say rugby would be a team, hockey would be a team, dance you could do individually. You can, however, do dance as a group, as a team, if you like. So that could be one of your team sports, but you then couldn't take a team dance and then a solo dance and use them as the individual and the team. Hopefully that makes sense. So you couldn't, for example, do doubles badminton as a team sport and then be assessed in singles badminton as well. Normally you will have a exam at a central location. So last year we went to Helston High School, for example, and we met up with 4 or 5 different high schools, and a selection of children were taken from Long Stratton, and they were assessed in those sports, and they check our marking. So as a centre, Long Stratton will assess every single child. We have to assess accurately, and then the exam board pick a random selection to just make sure our marking is accurate, that we aren't cheating and making out that you're amazing or awful when you don't deserve to be either one. So we have to be fair all the way through. And then there's also a coursework element. So it's 14 hours of work, and you will physically test yourself in terms of your fitness. So you'll do things like your hand grip dynameter test and your multi-stage fitness test. You have to evaluate the results, analyze the results, and then you apply it to a sport of your choice. And you say pick netball, and how would you actually improve a netball player? So you'll pick a skill that you think is requiring improvement, and then you will write out a program of improvement for it. So you don't actually physically have to do this, but you have to, it's a theoretical exercise. The exam for practical, as we said, it's 30%, and it's done at another school normally. COVID this year and last year has caused complications, and it's been assessed within Long Stratton High School, so it's in the centre, if you like. The coursework, when it's complete, is then sent away. An examiner will look again at our marks and just check that we've been fair when we mark the coursework for you. And the theory, the academic theory lessons, they are assessed with an end of unit exam. So just like all the other exams in May, June time, you will have 2 theory papers. Each is worth 30%, which is your total of 60%, and they basically cut the course into 2. And the first paper is the physiological side of it, so we say bones, muscles, heart, respiratory system, methods of training. And the second half is the ethics, drugs, commercialization of sport, diet, health and well-being. And so it's quite an intense course. There is a lot to learn in 2 years, which is why I say in Key Stage 3 we're trying to already prime you for it. But it is fun if you've got an interest in sport, in the body as a sort of a physical tool, if you like. It's really interesting, and obviously there's lots of practical to get involved in. And whilst we do practical in school, we do expect you to be doing practical outside of school as well. So if you're a football player, we would very much encourage you to try and get into, say, Long Stratton football team, or if you're one of the really good ones, you might go up and play for Norwich Academy. Some students go and take rock climbing up at UEA, some swim, some trampoline, some horse ride. So the choice is yours within the list of sports they give you. However, the emphasis very much is on you as a student to be improving your sport outside of school, because if we're teaching you, say, 6 weeks worth of badminton, that's great, but then you would need to be coming to after school badminton as well, because there's only so much you can learn within 6 hours of practical PE. It needs to be more than that. So just so you are aware, doing an hour a week of practical within GCSE would not be enough. You would be expected to do sport outside of school as well, to make sure you're getting those really good grades, because we want you to. You have to be quite committed to do GCSE PE, more so maybe than any other subject, because some subjects, and I might get told off for saying this, but you can turn up, you can do the lessons, you can attend after school revision, do your homework, and that's probably enough. However, PE, you have to do all of that and then be expected to do maybe 4 or 5 hours of sport outside of school hours. So as I say, if you want to do well in GCSE PE, it is quite a commitment, but we think it's a fantastic subject. We love teaching it, and we would love you to think about it as one of your options. And so before, if you've got any questions, please just let me know, and I will email a response back to you, or a phone call, whatever you'd like. Okay, thank you very much.